Good morning, everyone. I am so happy that you are here. Today, we're going to make a special craft to honor the brave men and women who have fought to protect our freedom and keep us safe here at home. So we're going to make a Veterans Day poppy. First, we're going to look through this pack so you can see all of the amazing resources we have. The first is just a picture of what your project may look like, a visual representation for your students to reference as they create their project. The next is a template, and you can use this multiple ways, and we're going to go through those in just a few minutes. The next is a template with lines drawn in, so if you wanted to print it on colored paper, it would be easy for your students to cut out. They could color this, they could watercolor this. There are lots of ways that you can use this template as well. Here's a great, just beautiful picture that they can paint, color, or watercolor, and you can use to decorate your classroom. And then we have an informational packet that gives you a picture of a realistic poppy and the story behind the poppy, as well as the history of how the poppy came to represent Veterans Day, along with the poem In Flanders Field. Okay, so I've taken the template from the packet and I've traced the images onto my construction paper and my tissue paper. I like to use tissue paper for flower projects because it's more petal-like, but if you don't have tissue paper, that's okay. You can use construction paper or whatever you have on hand. Now, here is a little teacher hack that I learned long ago, accordion cutting. And what I mean by that is I copy the template, I trace the template on one side, and then I accordion the paper going back and forth. So instead of trying to fit them all on one piece of paper and tracing dozens and dozens of the template, I only have to make a few and I can get more with less paper. And then I'm just gonna cut through my paper, following the template, and I'm gonna have the piece that I need. So this is the center of our poppy. Now I'm cutting the tissue paper, and I did trace this on the template. And one of the things I love about using templates is that you can use it several different ways. So for tissue paper, if I'm going to use that and I'm working with my 3 and 4-year-olds, I'm probably going to trace it for them and give them the tissue paper to try and cut themselves. Knowing though that we have emergent cutting skills, some of that tissue paper may be too hard to cut for them, so you may want to cut a few pieces in advance so you have some backups if the tissue paper gets ripped. Now, the next option, if you're really working on those cutting skills and you want your 3, 4, and 5-year-olds to work on cutting, you can always print this on colored paper and have them go ahead and cut themselves. If I'm working with my toddler 1 and 2-year-olds, I would probably also print on colored paper and pre-cut the pieces because they're a little bit more sturdy. The other thing that is really helpful when you're working with toddlers and 1-year-olds is to give them a background. For our 4 and 5-year-olds, they may be able to assemble their poppy all by itself. But for our toddler 1 and 2-year-olds, they may have a hard time visualizing what it's supposed to look like, and having a background to glue it to is going to be helpful for them. Now we're going to put our poppy together. And I prefer when I'm working with tissue paper to use a glue stick. It's not as heavy, and because tissue paper is so lightweight, we're going to want it to be as lightweight as possible. So I'm going to start always with putting the back of my flower center. And then I'm just going to start gluing my poppy petals on. Now, it's going to cover quite a bit, so you may need to apply more glue as you add your pieces. And this is an important step to tell your kiddos that you really want to try and glue your flower petals to the back of the poppy so that we can see the center once our poppy is complete. And now we have our poppy. And we're gonna put our yellow center right in the middle. You can use a construction paper or pipe cleaner stem. These are so cute to decorate your classroom and a great way to honor our brave veterans for the sacrifices and the work they've done to keep our country safe. Happy Veterans Day.